Hello, I'm Lucy DeBest, and welcome to this webinar on how regulators can use e-learning to drive compliance. Thank you for joining me. I am the Publishing Director at TSO. TSO is a regulatory publisher and provider of RegTech solutions for regulators. I'm delighted to be here with you for Digital Leaders Week and to be part of such a varied and inspiring programme of events. And I'm particularly excited to be talking to you about e-learning, which at TSO is something we recognise as being an increasingly important way to reach regulated audiences, both individuals and organisations. E-learning provides a unique opportunity for regulators to engage with their users in a format which we know is preferred by the majority of learners. E-learning can be used to make regulation easier to understand and apply, which in turn improves compliance as individuals and organisations better understand their obligations. In today's session, we're going to look at the context of where we are, the growth in e-learning and why it is so popular. We'll consider what exactly e-learning is, and then we'll look at 4 key topics that regulators need to consider when thinking about developing e-learning, and then some practical steps on how to get started. The growth of e-learning in recent years has been staggering, 900% growth since 2000. The pandemic accelerated e-learning, and with advances in technology, learning moved out of the classroom. What's more, in one survey, 70% of students said they preferred digital learning to traditional classrooms. But e-learning doesn't have to replace classroom learning. It can be used very effectively alongside it. At TSO, we have been developing digital learning for some time. We are really proud of our place in the charts. The DVSA Theory Test Kit app was the second most popular app in the paid-for Apple App charts in 2023. And 4 of our apps are regularly in the top 10 paid-for education apps in the Apple App Store. So, why the growth? E-learning is cost-effective. You don't have the setup or associated costs of classroom-based training. It's scalable. You can reach tens to hundreds of thousands of users at the same time with the same content, which also means you can control the consistency of your message. It's convenient. Users can access anytime, anywhere, and it can be self-paced. Learners can control the pace of their learning. They can spend more time on topics which are difficult for them and revisit content when they want to. We know that learners retain more information when they are actively involved in consuming the materials, so e-learning is a positive learning experience for both learners and educators. So, what is e-learning? E-learning is digital learning. We tend to think of e-learning as courses, which may be synchronous, asynchronous, or blended learning. But learning instruction can be delivered in a variety of formats. For example, digital publications, online tools, mobile apps, and webinars. Learning events can be embedded into all of those formats. At TSO, we take an holistic approach. We make regulation and legislation easier to understand and apply through a range of formats or learning interventions. These formats, often combined and used together, help to drive positive behaviour change. By understanding desired behaviour change and evaluating learning interventions, we can work with our clients to deliver, manage, monitor, and continually improve their e-learning. So you can see the huge opportunity that e-learning gives regulators to improve understanding and application of rules and therefore drive compliance. We all have our own experience of what good and not so good learning looks like. It can be overwhelming knowing where to start. So here are 4 top things to consider to get you started. Accessibility and inclusion, measurable evaluation, user need, and reaching your audience. And we'll consider all of those things in more detail next. Firstly, accessibility and inclusion. However great your course looks, if it isn't accessible and inclusive, it can't deliver learning outcomes for all learners. E-learning should be accessible by design, with accessibility and inclusivity discussed at the earliest stages. It's really important to remember that everyone benefits from accessible content. It's about making learners feel comfortable and confident and in the best possible position to achieve their learning outcomes. You can do this in a range of ways. Accessibility standards are a great way of ensuring that your learning is accessible, but genuine accessibility and inclusivity goes beyond just meeting standards. Everything starts with content, so make sure that content is written in plain English. Well-written content will help to reduce cognitive load. Your course needs to be thoughtfully designed and well-structured. Organise learning into manageable segments and make sure it flows in a logical sequence. We know that learning is more effective when it is focused, so be ruthless at taking out anything that is irrelevant. On the screen, you can see examples from a course we recently launched called Better Driving. Better Driving is part of the official DVSA portfolio. It aims to help drivers reduce anxiety, boost confidence, and improve their driving safety. Through interactive exercises and videos, the course explores the influence of mood and attitude on driving. It offers practical strategies for dealing with stressful situations. The content in Better Driving is written to an appropriate reading age. The course is well structured and can be easily navigated. Content is broken up into manageable and meaningful topics. Learning flows in a logical sequence and it is intuitive and easy to navigate. When it comes to making your learning accessible and inclusive, keep things simple. Content should be purposeful. Don't be tempted to overproduce something which isn't accessible or inclusive to all learners. One of the great opportunities of digital learning is the amount of data you can get. This data can provide real insight into how people are using and navigating our courses and apps, and in how they are performing in their assessments. This data helps you to assess whether you are meeting your users' needs and helps to inform your programme of continual improvement. You can see here data from our best-selling Theory Test Kit app. As official publisher for DVSA, we developed the Theory Test Kit app and we're very proud of its consistent chart-topping success in the app charts. The app has been used by more than 4 million users to help them pass their theory test. We evaluate at question level how learners are performing and any topics they are struggling with. The dashboards you can see here give us a bird's eye view of how well learners are performing at a specific question or set of questions. Based on this data, we can draw insights into what topic areas learners may need more support or practice at, and we can develop interventions to help them. Gaining data from your e-learning is one part of effective evaluation. You can feed this information into your continual improvement programme alongside other evaluation points, such as product reviews and customer feedback. Users should be at the heart of your e-learning development. Make sure that you understand their needs, wants, motivation and pain points before starting any design or development work. A great way of doing this is to document their needs in a user story. You may have lots of user stories for your e-learning, and capturing them at the very beginning of the process will help you keep their needs in focus. In the course design, you can use different media to deliver your message. A multimedia approach appeals to different learning styles and provides opportunities to put the theoretical into practice. People learn best through a combination of text and visual elements. But going back to our first point, remember to make sure everything is accessible. Videos, audio, and any interactivity needs to be relevant and not distracting. Multimedia content must be balanced and created with purpose. Make sure your imagery is relevant, otherwise it becomes distracting. The example you can see on the screen is some e-learning we developed for our client Red Wizard. It provides comprehensive training on managing temporary labour compliantly. The course provides an overview of what a non-employee worker is and how managers can engage with them compliantly. Information is presented in different formats to help learners process and integrate it. There are opportunities for interactive learning to allow learners to be actively engaged in their own learning, not passive consumers of it. The multimedia learning here enhances and doesn't distract. Another example is from our DVSA Theory Test e-learning course. It shows a blend of text and interactive videos. We know that when information is presented in multiple formats, learners are able to better process and integrate that information. The DVSA e-learning includes timed mock tests and high-quality videos, and we've received some great feedback from our customers. More than 90% of people who have used our Safe Driving for Life e-learning platform have passed their theory test. Everything starts and ends with your users. Think about them from the start, engage them in beta testing, and absorb and learn from their feedback on a course once launched. So, we know so far that e-learning needs to be accessible. We've seen the data and insights we can get from it, and we have looked at how e-learning can effectively meet user needs and different learning styles. Our fourth, very important consideration is how you are going to reach your learners. We spoke earlier about the importance of accessibility, and part of that is making sure that learners can access digital learning where, when, and how they want to. You need to think about where your learners are and how you are going to reach them, and what the commercial opportunities of monetizing your e-learning content might be. You need to consider three important things. Firstly, how will you deliver your e-learning? Do you have a learning management system to deliver learning directly to your users? Can you produce e-learning in compatible formats, such as SCORM or XAPI, so that it can be licensed to corporate customers and hosted by them? Do you have the processes in place to allow you to license e-learning? Do you want your learning to have a presence on a course marketplace? Do you need to consider multi-user access? Secondly, how are you going to support your users? How will you provide technical support to your learners and answer their queries? Do you have a knowledgeable customer services function that can support your users at the point of purchase and with any ongoing questions? An established customer services team also provides a great opportunity for gathering user feedback. And lastly, how will you let learners know that you have e-learning for them? Your e-learning needs to be supported by a go-to-market strategy. Do you know what your channels to market are? Do you have a marketing strategy which will help raise awareness of your learning so that the people that need it can find it? These are complex questions, so it's not surprising that regulators often partner with organisations that can support all aspects of e-learning design, development and delivery. In addition to instructional design and e-learning content development expertise, at TSO, we have established channels to market and sophisticated marketing capabilities. This means that we can promote and raise awareness within regulated markets and deliver it to them in the most effective way. We have considered 4 key areas that you need to think about when developing e-learning, but where to start. Before you begin, it's useful to think about how you are going to approach e-learning development. If you're working with an organisation to develop your e-learning, they will have their own approach, and it's useful for you to know what that is so you can work out where, as a subject matter expert, you will be involved. The ADDIE model is a very effective and popular process. It breaks the process down into 5 important steps: analyse, design, develop, implement, and evaluate. You may opt for something more agile, such as the SAM approach, or you might create your own approach that blends other established processes and allows for fast prototyping. Either way, and whatever the stage is called, it's critical to spend time in the discovery stage of a new project. And don't be tempted to rush this stage, as it will only cause you delays further along. Think about your audience, their wants, needs, goals, and motivation. Identify what the problem is and whether it can be solved through e-learning. Understand the gap between actual and desired skills and what the overall learning goal of the course should be. Throughout this webinar, we've talked a lot about users, and if you put them at the heart of what you're doing, then you're already off to a really solid start. You need to think about what the overall learning goal of your course is and the learning objectives that you want your e-learning to meet. Be specific and think about how you will be able to measure a learner has met their learning objectives. You should map those learning objectives to Bloom's taxonomy, which will help you to categorise them. Focusing on the learning objectives through the course design and development stages will really help you to keep a clear focus when creating content, and it will help you to be decisive about what is and isn't relevant. And as we've just seen, don't forget to think early on about your method of delivery. You need to consider how you are going to get your e-learning to the people that need it and in what format. Do the people that need to follow your rules understand them? Did they know how to apply them? Hopefully you've seen during this webinar that e-learning could be the perfect opportunity to engage with them. E-learning is digital learning, so think widely about how you could utilise different digital formats to help your users understand and apply your rules. We'd love to hear what your challenges are and explore with you how e-learning might be used to help meet the needs of regulated audiences. I'd be very happy to help you explore what the opportunities might be and to talk through some of our examples in more detail, so please do get in contact. Thank you for joining this webinar, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Digital Leaders programme.